part two, back with another video, folks. And yeah, before I keep talking about my but the future is like when I start collecting them N scale. So basically before I start mentioning more N scale, because I still have some things to get off my chest though about it. So in the meantime, folks, so since I have HO scale and O scale, since I have both HO scale and O scale right now, and I've owned both scales for years, that between the two of HO scale and O scale, I'm more an HO scale fan than I am with O scale. I mean, O scale I like too, but I just like more of HO scale because that's what I more like collected, was like HO scale, as I felt like more and more love into HO scale than I do with O scale. So as I still have HO scale and O scale, so the legacies I'm still going to continue is that since I grew up a huge Thomas fan from collecting all the DVDs, well, I don't have all the Thomas DVDs, but I have a lot though. From collecting the Thomas DVDs to the Trackmasters, the Take and Play, the Wooden Railway, to collecting HO scale and O scale, and now soon to be N scale. That it's just getting bigger and we're just getting started. So before we talk about N scale, folks, so basically there are a couple more Trackmaster trains and one more Wooden Railway train of both Thomas and Friends that I still want to collect. And I haven't thought of like any other Thomas DVDs that I wanted to collect though, because I already have so many. But for now, I'm not worried about collecting any more Thomas DVDs and any of the Trackmaster and Wooden Railway that I want to collect out of Thomas the Train. Yeah, also I'm done collecting Take and Play as well. I'm no longer collecting Take and Play because now I have moved up to the big leagues. So basically, the legacy I'm still going to continue currently with Thomas the Train. Because since I watched Thomas the Train the most in my childhood, and that's still the number one show that I watch the most out of my childhood, is still Thomas the Train. Besides that, what else? So basically, since I still do that with Thomas, the way I'm going to continue my Thomas legacy is that, so I'm going to continue to collect the Thomas and Friends Bachmann items of HO scale that are discontinued, currently on sale and coming on in the future, that I do not yet have in my Bachmann Thomas HO collection. I'm going to continue that. And I'm also going to continue with my Thomas and Friends O scale collection. I'm going to keep continuing to collect all the Thomas items in O scale that I do not yet have, that are discontinued, currently on sale, and coming out in the future if Lionel ever makes any more O scale Thomas product. So I'll say it one more time that yes. So me continuing with my Thomas and Friends legacy, still continuing that legacy, that yes. So for Thomas and Friends Bachmann HO scale, I'm gonna keep collecting the ones that I do not yet have. The ones that I do not yet have in Thomas and Friends HO scale Bachmann is the ones that are discontinued, currently on sale and coming out in the future. Even though I do already have some discontinued items and ones that are still currently on sale, and a couple that just came out in late of 2024 that I got for Christmas, and ones that are coming out in the future, I'm going to be getting those too. So yeah. So in HO scale, for Thomas and Friends. So for Thomas and Friends HO scale Bachmann, I'm going to keep collecting the Thomas and Friends Bachmann items in HO scale that I do not yet have, that are discontinued, currently on sale, and coming out in the future. While I still do that, I'm still going to continue collecting the Thomas and Friends O scale items that I do not yet have, that are discontinued, currently on sale, and possibly coming out in the future if Lionel ever makes any more Thomas O scale items. So besides doing those two things for Thomas and Friends, that in HO scale, since I'm more of a HO fan than I am with O, that in HO scale, what I'm also going to be doing is collecting some non-related Thomas items, as I'm more of an HO fan, like items like the Conrail engine, the Conrail caboose, items like that, and different things like Amtrak, some more box cars in HO scale. Now, HO scale items and HO scale product, whatever you want to call it. So basically, HO scale items that I will not be collecting and never will collect in HO scale is Chuggington. Chuggington I will never collect in HO scale, never, ever, ever. Chuggington I will never collect in HO scale, never. And I don't dislike it though, I don't. But I just not that big of an interested fan. I'm not that big like interested in the show though. But it's cool though, it's adorable. But I feel Tom's is the better one. So yeah, those are the HO scale items that are not Thomas related, I'm not collecting, is Chuggington. Just Chuggington. But now for Thomas items in Bachmann HO scale that I will not be collecting are the ones that I pretty much already have. But they're just kind of like remakes though. For example though, so here I already have the OG Timid Sheds, the one that has the one where you can like turn it. But now the one that they have the one that's like DCC operated, I think. And it's got that big like box thing right here, like control tower, whatever you call it, or control box, where the figure's sitting in it, I guess. And it just like moves a turntable on its own. So yeah, that's what I mean. That right there, that remake of Timid Sheds that has that box thing right here, that's a Thomas HO item that doesn't count. Things like that, or similar things like that, whether it's like a engine, a car, or a scenery, things that are already like similar, things that are already the same thing, but if there's like a little bit of changes to it, that's why those Thomas items in HO scale do not count. And the same goes with O scale, which I'll get to in a minute. So yeah, so one more time, so HO scale items, so HO scale items that I'm going to continue to keep collecting that I do not yet have for my Thomas and Friends collection of HO scale Bachmann are the ones that are discontinued, currently on sale, and coming out in the future. I'm going to keep continuing that, and while I do, I'm going to keep collecting some non-related Thomas trains in HO scale, since I'm more of a HO fan than I am with O scale. And just trains that I will not be collecting in HO scale is Chuggington I will not be collecting in HO scale, and same thing with Thomas Bachmann items in HO scale that do not count for my collection, like I already explained. And now for O scale, I'm only collecting the Thomas and Friends items that count, such as the ones that are discontinued, currently on sale, and possibly coming out in the future if they make any Lionel. So yeah, I'm only collecting the O scale Thomas items, folks. I'm only collecting, the way I keep collecting O scale is I'm only continuing to collect, and I'm only currently collecting Thomas the Train items that I do not yet have in O scale that are discontinued, currently on sale, and possibly coming out in the future if they make any line out. And even though I'm not collecting, even though in O scale I'm not collecting any not related Thomas product that's not related to Thomas, that there's only one non-related Thomas item that I'm trying to get still, is an Amtrak 2-pack set that comes with an Amfleet coach and an Amfleet Cafe card to match it with my other Amfleet cars that my dad got me years ago in O scale. So yeah, that's the only one item that's not Thomas related at all that I'm trying to find, is that one. That's the only one that I'm trying to find that's not related to Thomas in O scale. And yeah, hopefully I find that one day, folks. And if I do, I'm grabbing it. And after I get it, then I'm just gonna keep continuing to collect all the rest of the Thomas and Friends items in O scale that I do not yet have. So moving on with O scale, so then, and most importantly though, is that, so yeah, since that Amtrak one of O scale is the only one that I'm not since that Amtrak one's the only non-related Thomas Train that I'm trying to collect to match my Amfleets, since that's the only not related Thomas Train in O scale that I'm trying to collect, it is for all the other non-related Thomas Trains, those ones I am not collecting, since I'm not that big of an O scale fan like I am with HO. And what I also will not be collecting either are just some Thomas items, folks, in O scale too as well, that do not count, because now I'm going to get to it. So what I'm going to get to now is that, so there are some O scale items too in O scale of Thomas the Train that do not count though. And obviously for like the same reasons and all that, like I explained in HO scale, it's the same reasons. So yeah, so now that I got that off my chest, folks, and you guys already know the deal, so and then then Hornby, guys, the Thomas and Friends Hornby collection, that's still that still is a potential I could get it or not, but I don't know if I'm gonna though. So even though Hornby is also HO scale, but it's OO scale, I think OO scale means it's half scale, I think. I don't know though, or half HO scale, but I don't know what the two O's meaning OO scale, because to me it's the same type of track as HO scale. It's the same scale as HO scale. So anyways, enough of that though. What else was I gonna say? What else? Hold on, what else was I gonna say?